Many of us make our homes along the shores of Lake Keowee. Let's go back to a time when others lived along the shore of then the Keowee River. This is an early picture of the Keowee River looking south from Jocassee. The word Keowee is of Cherokee origin and means place of the mulberry. Keowee town on the bank of the river was the capital of the Eastern or Lower Cherokees. It was visited by De Soto and his company in 1539. During the 1700s, the white man came to the area and traded with the Indians. In 1753, Fort Prince George was built across the river from Keowee town. This is a shot of the Fort Prince George excavation site prior to Lake Keowee's construction. Duke teamed with the Institute of Archaeology and Anthropology at the University of South Carolina to locate and test 30 different sites. One of the participants in the archaeological dig, Marshall Woody Williams, built a model that is now at Keowee-Toxaway State Park. Keowee town was another site of excavation, where thousands of items were found. Land purchases began, and South Carolina Land and Timber was formed for the purpose of acquiring, holding, and developing land and timber properties in 1963 and early 1964. The corporate name was changed to Crescent Land and Timber in March of 1966. On Saturday, January 2nd, 1965, Duke's president, W.B. McGuire, held a luncheon press conference at the Clemson House and announced the company's intentions to obtain the necessary licenses and permits to build a large power-generating complex to be called the Keowee-Toxaway Project. 2 days later, Duke filed for the license to build the first phase dams on the Keowee and Little Rivers to create Lake Keowee and the Jocassee Dam to create Lake Jocassee. This is a photo from our archives with the Keowee Dam plans drawn in. This is a slide of the original artist rendition of Oconee Nuclear Station. This is also a good rendition of Lake Keowee, as you can see from this more recent photo. In July 1966, Duke placed one of the largest orders for land clearing and allied machinery ever given in the two Carolinas with Jeff Hunt Machinery Company of Greenville, South Carolina, to clear the basins of Lakes Keowee and Jocassee. Clearing operations were scheduled to begin January 1, 1967. Duke also announced the awarding of the earth-moving contract to Blythe Brothers of Charlotte and Clement Brothers of Hickory, with their work to begin in March 1967. This is a slide from our archives of the red, white, and blue dynamite blast triggered by South Carolina Governor Robert McNair at the official groundbreaking ceremony attended by many high-ranking South Carolina and federal officials on April 11, 1967. In 1967 alone, the harvest of timber from company land being cleared for the lakes was enough to build over 2,800 six-room houses, and the pulpwood harvest was enough to fill 3,850 railroad cars. After an area was cleared, brush and leftovers were burned. In this slide, you see activity on the road and other landmarks. You can see the pleasant Alexander House, which was moved to High Falls County Park. The location of the house was originally known as Robertson's Ford and later became Old Pickens. That is the Old Pickens Church over to the left. You may also recognize the girding left beside the 183 bridge. Here is another view of the valley and the Alexander Cannon Hill House, being used as an office at the site. This is a slide of Chapman's Bridge on the Keowee River. It was one of the last surviving covered bridges in South Carolina. The bridge fell victim of a flood in 1916 and was replaced in 1921 by master bridge builder James Craig with help from Riley Whitmire and other local residents. Before Lake Keowee was flooded, Duke Power carefully dismantled and moved Chapman's Bridge to the Keowee-Toxaway State Park. Sadly, the bridge was burned and is no longer there. Work continued on into 1968. Earth moving was underway. Lake Keowee would be formed by the impounding of the Keowee River and Little River. The two arms are joined by a connecting canal. The Keowee Dam is twice as long as the other two dams in the project, at 3,500 feet long, 20 feet higher than the Little River Dam, but 215 feet lower than the Jocassee Dam. The Keowee Dam contains 2 million cubic yards of earth and is 800 feet wide at its base, about the same length as 2 2/3 football fields, laid end to end and 20 feet wide at the top. The Keowee Dam will contain 2 conventional hydroelectric units capable of generating 40 megawatts. Keowee's tunnel is 800 feet long and 33.5 feet in diameter. The tunnel alone, when full, will contain 5.3 million gallons of water, with the average flow of 1,000 cubic feet per second. 152 cubic feet was the lowest stream flow calculated on the Keowee River, so Keowee Hydro Station has no problem maintaining the flow of the Keowee River. This is a photo of the water wheel turbines to be installed at Keowee Hydro Station. This slide was also taken in 1968. You can see the site taking shape. This one was taken March 19, 1968. That is Oconee's skimmer wall you see in the center. You can see it very well from Highway 130, especially at night with the lights on it. The wall separates the plant's inlet canal from the lake. You can see that the wall doesn't go all the way to the bottom, so that the inlet canal is pulling cold water from the bottom of the lake for the cooling water the station needs to condense steam. The lake is about 150 feet deep there. This is the Highway 183-130 bridge over the intake canal on March 27, 1969. This slide was taken in April 1969. The hydro station's construction work is in progress. This is the Newry Little River Arm site in mid-1969. And this is an aerial photograph of the same area. Here is a view of Little River Dam and canal construction in August of 1969. This is the Little River Dam at Newry in September of 1969. This is a different angle of the Little River Dam at Newry. This looks like one everyone will recognize. Highway 130 across the Little River Dam, December 1969. Lake Jocassee and the Jocassee Hydroelectric Station were also being built during this same time. Construction began January 25, 1968, and the impoundment of Lake Jocassee began in mid-April 1971. This photo shows the view from Jumping Off Rock in 1968. This is the view you now see from the same place. Beautiful Lake Jocassee, with its 75 miles of shoreline, is the cleanest lake in the state according to the Department of Health and Environmental Control. Water is fed into Lake Keowee from the Jocassee Hydro Station. The initial transfer of water from Lake Jocassee to Lake Keowee occurred in December of 1973. The Jocassee Hydro Station began commercial operation December 19, 1973. This is an aerial shot from the Little River side of Lake Keowee in January of 1970. Newry Village is in the forefront. This is the Oconee site and Lake Keowee looking north, also in January of 1970. This is traffic crossing the Little River Dam at Newry in April 1970. As you can see, it's almost done. This is the Keowee Hydro Station and Dam in May of 1970. Duke closed the gates of the Keowee Dam to begin the final impounding of Lake Keowee to its ultimate depth of 150 feet at 10:19 a.m. on April 2, 1970. Keowee Hydro Station was then completed and began commercial operation April 17, 1971. It was completed and began operation in 1973. Oconee Nuclear Station has generated more electricity than any other nuclear station in the country. Lake Keowee is truly a beautiful lake and a rare treasure for Oconee County and its residents. We at Duke Power hope you enjoy many more of the beautiful Keowee sunsets and recognize that we take our environmental stewardship very seriously. We also ask for your help in keeping Lake Keowee's tomorrows as clean and beautiful as it is today.